God said, "Let there be light," to teach that even the darkest moments yield to the power of a single spark of light. God separated light from darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. He stretched out the sky, dividing the waters above from the waters below. God gathered the seas into one place, and dry ground appeared. He commanded the land to sprout plants, trees, and vibrant vegetation. God made the sun to govern the day, and the moon and stars to govern the night. He filled the waters with countless fish and sea creatures. God created birds to soar across the vast sky. He brought forth land animals, from the smallest insect to the largest beast. Finally, God formed humanity and blessed the world, declaring it very good. Noah built an immense ark to teach that obedience in the face of skepticism unleashes protection and purpose. Noah gathered pairs of animals into the ark to teach that trusting guidance secures hope before the storm. Rain began pouring without warning to teach that preparedness rooted in faith shields us when uncertainty falls. Floodwaters rose and covered the land to teach that protection spans even the most overwhelming circumstances. The ark drifted safely on vast waters to teach that steadfast faith provides refuge amid life's tempests. After 40 days, a window was opened to teach that perseverance unveils new perspectives beyond hardship. A dove returned with an olive branch to teach that small signs of promise signal renewal and reconciliation. Waters receded and land reappeared to teach that faithful endurance leads to restoration and fresh beginnings. Noah and his family stepped out of the ark to teach that stepping out in faith after trial unveils fulfilled promises. A rainbow arced across the sky to teach that a covenant brings beauty and assurance after every storm. God spoke to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household," to teach that true faith often means stepping into the unknown, confident God will guide every step. Abram packed his possessions and prepared to leave his homeland to teach that leaving behind security is the first step toward fulfilling God's promises. Abram set out from Haran with Sarai and Lot to teach that taking action in obedience activates divine guidance. Abram journeyed through arid deserts to teach that perseverance in faith carries us through uncertain paths. Abram arrived in Canaan as God directed to teach that obedience leads to the fulfillment of divine promises. Abram built an altar in Canaan to teach that worship and gratitude are foundational in new beginnings. Abram called on the name of the Lord at the altar to teach that seeking God's presence anchors our faith in unfamiliar places. God appeared to Abram and promised his descendants would be as numerous as the stars to teach that even when odds seem against us, God's word is unwavering. Abram believed God's promise, and it was credited to him as righteousness to teach that trusting God's word is rewarded beyond measure. Abram journeyed on to unknown regions, unwavering in faith to teach that stepping into God's plan transforms our destiny. God changed Abram's name to Abraham and promised descendants as numerous as the stars to teach that even when circumstances seem impossible, God's word stands firm. Abraham gazed at the night sky with Sarah by his side to teach that faith often means trusting unseen promises. Sarah laughed in disbelief, yet conceived Isaac in her old age to teach that God's timing may differ from ours, but his promises never fail. Abraham and Sarah rejoiced over Isaac's birth to teach that patient hope is rewarded with divine joy. God called Abraham to offer Isaac as a sacrifice to teach that ultimate trust, even when the cost seems unbearable, opens the door to God's richest blessings. Abraham saddled his donkey at dawn and set out with Isaac to the mountain to teach that obedience in every step honors God's command. Abraham built an altar and prepared to sacrifice his son on the mountain to teach that surrendering our greatest treasure tests faith beyond understanding. An angel stayed Abraham's hand just as he raised his heart to sacrifice Isaac, to teach that God honors unwavering faith by providing a way out at the last moment. Abraham offered a ram caught in a thicket in place of his son, to teach that God's provision replaces our fears with redemption. God reaffirmed his covenant with Abraham through Isaac, to teach that every trial strengthens the promise of a hopeful legacy. Jacob dreams of a ladder reaching to heaven, to show that in our lowest moments, God provides a vision of hope. Jacob works for 7 years, tending his flocks, teaching that perseverance yields lasting rewards. Jacob serves another 7 years working for his father-in-law's household, showing that steadfast devotion shapes true character. Jacob wrestles all night with a mysterious, faceless divine figure to demonstrate that holding fast in prayer transforms identity. Jacob walks away with a limp, bearing a blessing, teaching that enduring struggle leads to a new purpose. Joseph prays in a dim prison cell to show that faith sustains even in moments of despair. Joseph Mann confidently interprets dreams for a ruler, demonstrating that resilience opens unexpected doors. Joseph forgives those who wronged him, showing that mercy heals deep wounds. Joseph stores abundant grain during years of plenty to demonstrate that wise stewardship protects future generations. Nations line up at the gates to buy grain, teaching that God's plan can restore and save many.